Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Amma ba'd. So, what we want to understand here is that we're not against the worldly means. This is a very important concept. It's not that we want to leave the means. We want to sever the attachment to the means. Ibn al-Qayyim has a beautiful saying. He says, تَرْكُ الْأَسْبَابِ رَهْبَانِيَّةً وَالْإِنْشِغَالُ بِهَا مِنَ الْخَارِجِ والاعتماد عليها من الداخل يهودية وقال نفيها عين الإيمان وإنفاقها عين الإسلام. Such a beautiful saying. He says, leaving asbab, turning your back to dunya, is the way of the monasts, the monks. We don't do this. We're active in this dunya. It's a means for our akhirah. It's mazra'atul akhirah. It's the plowing field for the one, subhanallah, plants you a tree in paradise. So there's a reason why we're here. But Allah created this dunya to complete His commands. And He created Jannah to complete our shahawat. We've switched it around. We're now here fulfilling our desires instead of fulfilling God's commands. And I'm telling you, whoever is a slave to Allah in this world will be free in akhirah, in Jannah. But whoever is a slave to his desires in this world will be a slave to Allah in Jahannam, in the hereafter. The command of Allah is above everything. And He says, but busying yourself with the worldly means, being distracted from the commands of Allah while relying on Him internally, He says, this is the way of the Jews. He says, in the way of the believers, nafyuha, negating it. Negating it doesn't mean leaving it. In fact, He says, in the way of the Muslims is to spend it. Why spend it? Because that's the proof of Iman. If you hoard onto it, then you don't really trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do you? Allah has a formula in the Quran, it's ajib every time I read it. He says, لِيُنْفِقْ ذُو سَعَةٍ مِّن سَعَتِهِ. And then He says, وَمَنْ قُدِرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقُهُ فَلْيُنْفِقْ مِمَّا آتَاهُ اللَّهُ. Oof. Ajib. He says, whoever's tight financially, let him spend. Says, usually if I'm tight, I save. See, the human formula is 1 + 1 = 2. That's not when you're dealing with Allah. With Allah, we deal with Him with full yaqeen. 2 - 1 = 1. I have $2, I spend $1, I'm left with $1. But the system of Allah is 2 - 1 = 3x. Wa azid. And I give more. It's a different system. It's unseen. You've got to believe in it. And the one who believes in it gives. The believer has more yaqeen on what Allah promises him and the treasures of Allah than what he has in his pocket. Your bank account could be filled with dollars. Before you click buy on Amazon, that one click buy, just practice to turn your heart to Allah first. Because the ulama say your Rabb is the one whom your heart first turns to in the time of need. And when I travel to Syria, subhanallah, with humanity, I think you know Brother Walid, I'm from Gaza, from Palestine. SubhanAllah, we've gained over 150 martyrs from our own family directly in Gaza. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. But I wanted to go to Gaza, but we couldn't enter. The borders were closed and there was an opportunity to go to Syria. And I saw something beautiful. What I saw is, subhanAllah, it's the less they have, the more they have. Because the less of this dunya to distract them, the closer they are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the simplest of means, yet they're so cut up, they're so generous. You're seeing the sifat of a true believer on the ground, yet very little of the dunya. And today we're drowning in dunya. But where are the qualities that are going to save us on the day? Because there's so many groups in this world, but there's only 2 groups on the day of judgment. فَرِيقٌ فِي الْجَنَّةِ وَفَرِيقٌ فِي السَّعِيرِ. And who's going to make it in Jannah? ثُمَّ نُنَجِّي الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَنَذَرُ الظَّالِمِينَ فِيهَا جِثِيًّا. You need taqwa. You either have taqwa or you're zalim. And taqwa requires an effort. And I saw taqwa there on the ground.